Let's talk about reading the individual components of a workout. It's almost like you're learning a new language. Would you agree? Now, for some of you guys, you've exercised for years, so most of this will be a review. But if you're just starting out, or if it's been a while since you've read a workout, there's a little bit to unpack. First of all, you'll have different phases or portions of the workout. Now on True Coach, you can typically swipe and there'll be different cards for that. Now within each of those cards, there's a couple of different formats that you might be looking at. One relates to structural movements. Another word for that is exercises that we'll do for quality and not necessarily for time. Now other programs may call that strength training, and we do too. But a lot of times we want to isolate certain movements, and we'll give you prescriptions on how much volume to do and how much weight to do. So when you're looking at that portion of a workout, you may see something that looks like 5x3 reps. What that would mean is 5 sets times 3 reps. What that means is that every time you do this particular exercise, you're going to try to perform it 3 times. We're going to do that for 5 total sets. So that's one example. Now here's another example. It could say 5 times 2 to 3. What that means is that for that type of rep range, we want you to shoot for the high end. But as we progressively get tired, or potentially as we're dialing in the weight a little bit more, you might actually not be able to get 3 reps. Well, in that case, 2 is acceptable. But most of the time in these certain formats, we want to make sure that we don't overdo it. So we wouldn't want you to get less than the number of reps that, if we're talking about that particular range, would be below that. Now, in addition to that, there's a couple other things. We'll give you typically an amount of time to rest in certain scenarios. We'll also tell you the exercise that you're doing. So altogether, you could read something that would look like this. Back squat. That's the movement. 5 sets times 2 to 3 reps. After each set, rest 60 seconds. And so what that means in plain English is that you're going to do a back squat. You're going to shoot for 3 reps every time. But shoot, if you get tired or if the weight becomes challenging, 2 reps is totally acceptable. Let's rest 60 seconds after each set. And let's repeat this for a total of 5 sets. So that's one part. Now, typically, not always, there'll be a portion that's more or less a circuit. What a circuit means is instead of one particular exercise where we're just focused on that thing, there may be multiple exercises. Now in something like this, you'll see maybe a name for something. Right below that, you'll see possibly one of 2 things. The number of rounds that you're going to do something for, or a predetermined amount of time that you might be doing that work for. So let's talk about the previous one. 5 rounds for time. That means that you already have predetermined the amount of work that you're going to do of those particular exercises. Once you finish those 5 rounds for time, you're done. Now the other we call a time-specific workout. And what that means is that we know for sure that you're only going to work for that amount of time in this circuit or this conditioning, but you'll determine the amount of reps that you'll get within that predetermined amount of time. Now, in both of those scenarios, we might have portions where you work and you rest, or there may not be any rest at all. The reason for that is a little deeper that we'll get to later on down the road. But just understand that those 2 components, having something that's more based on one particular movement, will oftentimes be a part of your workout. And then you'll see portions where there's multiple movements there, and you'll just look specifically for some of the instructions surrounding that list of movements. Am I doing it for a certain predetermined amount of time, or is the work predetermined? Hope that helps.